Okay. Welcome to everybody. This is the August 29th meeting of the DPRG Robot Builders Night Virtual, where we gather together weekly to talk about robots and other things. So, with no further ado, we've got a queue. John G is going to lead off with a little update, and then we'll go to Doug D and then Ray. Then open mic. Okay, so John, you want to go?
Sure. Well, Halloween's just around the corner, so started thinking about my Halloween projects, and I've got an upgrade going here. Let's go. I changed the interface a little bit here. So,
Ooh.
you remember my skull face?
Yep.
The laughing skull face with the eyes that follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the black piece you see right there is I've taken it out of the box. I used to just have it in a box, and I packaged all of the electronics now on a 3D printed platform there in black, and I printed a top portion for the skull. It used to be just the face. You can see the skull, top portion of the skull on the right. All right, and so here's a different view with the top portion on. So now basically I have a more or less almost complete full skull.
Mm.
All right, and we're going to mount it on a full skeleton.
Oh, that's an
So
upgrade.
designed and I pulled an STL file off the web for the cervical spine, and then designed a piece on the top that would fit the bottom of my the attachment point on the skull. So that's what I'm doing, and of course I got some white spray paint. I need to spray paint the skeleton because it's kind of an off white, almost yellow,
Mm-hmm.
to get it
For
to match the
bone white, maybe?
yeah, just basically you're gonna make it, you know, pure white all around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's all I have.
Oh, well, hey, before you disappear, let us look at it for a while there. Can you
Oops,
go?
I'm sorry. I'll share again.
Yeah.
You probably might have had some questions.
Okay.
So what did you
How are
have?
you gonna display him? Is he gonna be like hanging, or is he going to be
Well,
standing up in a corner, or?
I still want the eyes to be close to eye level for a moderate sized kid.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to have the skeleton sitting down.
Gotcha.
So I might just prop it up in a chair, kind of like you see what I've got now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or put it behind a table, put the candy on the table, for
Mm-hmm.
the kids to grab.
Mm.
Bony legs crossed, maybe?
Yeah, it would be nice. I could animate more of this thing if I could have the arms move, like have a fishing line and have a servo or a motor,
Yeah. Yeah.
moving the arm around. Maybe even follow, kind of have it point at the person who's looking at it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this plastic skeleton that I bought, it's a Halloween decoration, is the joints are designed to be, you move them and then they stay in place.
Yeah.
They don't move freely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice to find a skeleton that's not too expensive for such decorations with free moving joints that I could make a kind of a automated marionette type of thing.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely the season to get those sort of things. A lot of times they're not available. John, I was thinking, the box with that hides the camera on the skull. You could the box, the little thing that's between the eyes above,
Oh yeah.
you could take, possibly make something like a reef. You know what I mean? Dead, dead leaves or something, a reef or something, to maybe make it less stand outable. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
even make it and do it into something that has horns.
Yeah. Well, since most people, it's like I'm not real concerned about that because
Yeah.
they're not really going to know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I
Could
thought
be
of,
the third eye, you know.
Yeah.
the
Or
chakra.
even put a or even put a top hat on them with a
I mean,
hole for the camera.
something like a gem uh, in the middle of the skull, the top of the skull,
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
be used for decoration.
That'd be cool.
Or you could have the camera look out through the nose.
Well, based on the design I'm using, there is absolutely no room in there for the camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So
The other thing might be is that on your skeleton, you might be able to 3D some joints.
That would be a real challenge. I managed to find a design for the cervical. It's fine, but you need a pretty big 3D printer to print even a segment of an arm.
yeah. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking of just the joints. In other words, attach the skeleton to, yeah. In other words, say the shoulder there, just 3D print the joint itself.
Well, you could have a hinge there.
Yeah, I'd have to do some kind of surgery on the on the design there.
Because
Another thing you might consider is that when Halloween is near over, all those things will be on sale that what didn't sell. You get them cheap.
Well, but the trick is in finding a skeleton decoration that actually has arms that move freely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm wishing you luck. You might find it.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
eventually I might find that.
I thought Home Depot had one. I'll go
Yeah.
tomorrow whenever to look.
Yeah.
I was going to say there was some place I saw where they had the arms moving. Actually, it was
Yeah,
like
I got this one
$70.
at a Halloween store, but I'd heard at the time that Home Depot had them as well. So
Right.
yeah, I could check Home Depot.
Home Depot or else Sam's Club. I'm
Joanne,
thinking one of those two spots was where I saw it, but
hobby stores.
Yeah. So hey, tell us a little bit, John, about your computer in the background. Is that a panda?
Raspberry Pi.
Is it a raspberry or a panda?
Yeah, basically what that is let's see if I can see better in the other picture. You see there's two speakers here
okay.
toward the bottom, the facing front,
Yeah.
and then there's Raspberry Pi on the right.
Right.
And on the left is just a battery pack.
Okay.
Where the USB port is used to power the, let's see, you can see it here, the little green box. There's an audio amplifier there
Mm-hmm.
that's connected to the speakers. And then there's a neural compute stick to speed up the processing so that the eyes move smoothly.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's pretty. This is a pretty nice. You evolved this one. Does the spiders ever get to play anymore, or is he out of it?
I might get around to. I basically mucked with the design, and then I was not real happy with the design of the glove
Mm-hmm.
to move the legs, because I never could find for the flex sensors any really good connectors that were reliable. They keep breaking contact. I modified the code several months back to where I could basically wire it to a radio transceiver and send commands just to move the legs from Raspberry Pi, just sort of let's say a script essentially. Basically just go through a sequence of motions.
Mm-hmm.
Basically not under control anymore, direct control, just automated. Once in a while moves. Maybe even put a infrared motion sensor on the front, so if anybody comes and walks up, it starts the motion, but still it would program the motion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'll be able to do that in time for Halloween, since I'm working on this part of the project.
Mm-hmm. What do the kids in your neighborhood think of all of this? What type of reactions do you get?
The younger kids are fascinated by it, but the older kids are the only ones that are a little scared.
Yeah.
I guess because they think I've put something in there that's gonna jump out at them. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So is the other guy gonna still? You had two skulls. I thought. Or,
Yeah, I've got to. Um, I'm probably just going to do this one because I've got the other skull as a different fit, if you will.
mhm.
But we'll see.
Okay.
See if I can print. I think I can print another. The whole point of making this back skull here
Yeah.
is if I take it out of the box, it's a little harder. You got to hide the electronics.
Right. So how did the back skull work? Did it hide all the electronics and everything? It looks like it did.
Yeah, I've got all the servos covered up now.
Mhm.
Let's see. Well, unfortunately, I had it face forward when I had this off. But
Yeah.
let's see if you can see. Well, I don't have a picture of the design. Anyway, that's it.
Well, that's neat. That's cool. Look, we had in our neighborhood we had one house where I don't think he did up so much, but he worked for the candy company, so his trick or treats were like, in those days, you might get a Tootsie Roll, but when you went to his house, you got a candy bar, and it was like, whoa, this is the good stuff. So anyway, we always had our favorite houses, and I'm just was curious if you're getting a lot of repeaters, people who say, well, let's see what Mr. So has done today, Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen any kids that are like, I remember last year, or anything like that?
Uh,
No. Yeah. Unfortunately, our house is we're on the end of a neighborhood, and, we get maybe, on a good year, we get 3 people. I bet Ray doesn't get very many either. No. Yeah.
0.
Yeah. My daughter lives in a neighborhood in Capel, and she gets like crowds. They had the whole street is kind of like done up as a festival during that time. And
well, I found that it's, at least in my neighborhood, it's typically not neighbors. Is people will actually drive into the neighborhood. I'm like the first house coming into the neighborhood, and they'll park. They'll drop the kids off or park their cars, near my house,
Yeah.
and basically let them go through the neighborhood and collect their loot, and then they'll pick them up, maybe take them somewhere else or take them home.
Yeah.
That's what they did in Capel when I lived there. It's like, these kids aren't from here. What's going on?
Yeah. Okay. Well, John, let's move on to Doug D, and let's look at that doggy.
Okay, so I've been off in the hinterlands and haven't done a lot, but fortunately, just before I left, I got some done. I didn't have a chance to show you.
Okay.
So I've got the robot back here, and let's see. I took the tape off so you can't see the wheels turning, but maybe you'll be able to see it on the video.
Yeah, they're turning. We can see it.
I got the encoders hooked up, but unfortunately the encoders are giving me crap, so they're not very useful. If I set it on the ground, it could run, and I actually have a video to show. I'll do a screen share here, and then we can get back to other stuff.
Okay.
Did my sharing start?
Yes. We just need to open up. There we go.
So this was my first test on the road in front of my house, just to see if the motors would work. And it immediately heads for, as you'll see in a moment, it immediately heads for the place where the water runs into the sewer. It's like, don't go there. Don't go down there.
Bad dog.
I know. So that was.
I thought you were going to say you went immediately to the hydrant, but okay.
Yeah, that would have been funny. So then after I pulled it away from there, I started it again. My wife is filming for me here, and I was basically just saying go forward and turn right, go forward and turn right was what it was doing just to test the motor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was trying to test its speed, and I wasn't very functional on getting lined up. It looks like it's doing a good sauntering speed, and that's at 200 PWM instead of 255. So
Mm-hmm.
I might get it a little faster. Right now, I have very little control of it.
Mm. Yeah, you probably can't go much if you're going to control. You probably can't go much more than 200.
Yeah, and plus I don't remember. I have to deck my wiring. It's been too long since I put it on. I may be sending the whole 18 volts to it, and I don't want to give it the full PWMs with 18 volts on the 12-volt motors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was keeping down the 200.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your ultimate goal for the project?
Well, my ultimate goal is for it to run down the street, and I'm going to put it on my back like a backpack. I hope it's about 15 pounds now. It's probably going to get up to another 2 more pounds before I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And walking around all day with that might be a little bit tough for us older guys, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I've got a plan that I'm going to put a little thing that I can slot it on the back, and I'll have a wooden backpack carrier that it slots onto. You pick it up, you put it on the ground, and it takes off. I have hopes that I'll be able to get the voice control activated because, I'm getting pretty close to ready to do that. I was hoping to be closer today because I thought that the presence robot code would work on this just straight out of the box, but unfortunately, I played with the Arduino code quite a bit trying to get it to work with these other motors, and that doesn't work right now. I broke something in that. That's what I was trying to get going when y'all saw me earlier tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be something simple, something I've interrupted, and I'll get that going relatively quickly. Then I have to put the head on, which is these 2 pieces here, which I'll try to get pieces out of the way. It'll be kind of like that, and I may or may not take these things off. I probably will. But this is supposed to be the nose, and it's the head. I'm going to have the eyes are going to be the standard sonar sensor that looks like eyes. And then this will be on a little gooseneck on the front of the thing that will have wires to connect to the inside of the box. If I can point back at the box. This is the front of the box, and so the head will be just sticking up here on a little short gooseneck.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raspberry Pi will be inside there. And right now, the Raspberry Pi is not talking to the Arduino anymore, so it may just be screwed up with my COM interface, or I may have commented out the piece of code that did that while I was trying to test the encoders. I commented out some things to get it out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
And my encoders are crap. I have 2 motors that are supposed to be the same. I have them wired the same. One encoder is giving me about 130 counts per second, and the other one's giving me 35 counts per second. And they're both going about the same speed. You set it down, it goes relatively straight. I put a little bit of an offset to make it go straight. Encoders are nowhere near the same. So,
Well, what would you expect?
Well, I expected both encoders to be the same.
But for the number for wheel rotations you're seeing,
right?
What would your encoder count supposed to be?
I hadn't done that math yet. I just basically ran it for 2 seconds to see how many counts I got.
Yeah.
And I didn't count how many revolutions that was being, but they were both revolving at the same speed. So I would have thought they would have given me the same encoder counts, the same motor.
Well, unless they're running full speed, unless they're maxed out.
Well, they're not maxed out because they were running at 200 WPMs, and I tried putting in a little bit of a differential drive mechanism where I said, okay, if the left one's giving more counts than the right one, we'll bump the speed up or bump the speed down on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets below 100 and 150, weight dogs it out and it can't make any activity.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one motor would get up real quick to 255 and the other motor would go down to 150, and it didn't seem to change its driving at all, and it didn't change the encoder count very much. So I'm just going to play with it for a while. Maybe I'm just missing something obvious.
Okay.
But, I was surprised that the counts were so different, and And I could always say, okay, the standard count for this one is this, and the standard count for that one is that, and do some math to make them work out.
Okay, one thing I can, couple of things, Doug. You don't have an oscilloscope, do you?
No,
Okay.
I used to have one many years ago, but I've forgotten how they work. I know basically how they work, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't know what I was looking at.
and you're only talking 5-volt levels, right, on your encoders?
Yeah, 5-volt encoders.
You know those little logic analyzers that I've been trying to get Ray to buy his $11, spend his $11.
I've seen
They
them.
would be helpful for you too. They'll give you some feeling of what's going on with the encoder edges. You know, like, are you bouncing a lot? If we found two problems when Dave recalls one of them was that the quadrature of the encoders from China sometimes isn't very good.
Yeah, I believe that.
And you essentially they're not very good encoders.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can repair that, and sometimes you can't. But then the other one that I've seen is where are these true encoders? Are these shaft encoders on the end of a motor, or are they discs somewhere?
There are shaft encoders on the end of a motor, and I actually have an example here.
Oh, okay.
This is, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, okay. So that's
Motor got the 6 wires here.
yeah. So that's that looks like a nice encoder. Just looking
Yeah,
at
it should be. I may have, damaged it in processing when I put them in, or
yeah.
no telling what I did.
Yeah.
But, I've got them so firmly in there that I'm kind of committed at this point to run the way they are until after.
Okay, here's one thing too that you might consider. Are you running with the load resistors, the pull-up resistors activated on that? Because these things usually have an open collector output.
Yeah.
So you may, if you're just trying to run it like a, an input.
I'm basically running it off of the L298N, I think it is.
No, I'm talking about the encoder.
Yeah, the
Okay.
encoder, I'm just wired up to them. I got them they're in a pin slot on the Arduino,
Yeah.
and I have an interrupt, and I count the ticks on the interrupt.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you have the resistors activated on
No,
the
I
input?
wouldn't know where that was to activate it.
Oh, well, you know where you say
It's pin mode input pull-up is like the
input
statement.
pull-up.
Yeah.
Yes, because that sounds like that might be your problem.
Yeah, I'm using rising on my interrupt, so you're thinking I should use input pull-up
Yeah,
or input pull-up as the pin declaration?
yeah. It's part of the declaration. I can't remember.
I'll
Yeah.
try this. Right now, they're defined as just input pins.
Yeah, and the reason why you see, because like I say, they're not a true. They're when the output of the encoder isn't what do they call it? It doesn't have a high-low stage in it. It's simply
Not a push pull.
yeah. It's not. Thank you, Dave. It's not push-pull. It's just
Sinking current, forcing it.
yeah, an open collector. So it could be you're just not getting anything from them. So what you might want to do is you run it there with the pull-up resistor activated, and that will give it a high and a real well high and low developed thing.
Yeah, I think the way it works is that,
There's my declaration of the encoder pins.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's. Isn't it
Input
input pull up?
Underscore pull-up.
Yeah. Underscore
Input.
pull up. No. You know,
Sorry.
go.
Yeah.
This darn
Right there.
computer, when I
Right.
touch the pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pull up.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that works.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you.
Yeah.
That's what you need to add in there.
Yeah, I'll try that.
I think the way it works is if it's an open collector circuit and if you don't have a pull-up resistor to pull the voltage up, you don't get a true high. Basically, you can get a low, but you only get, when it goes high, it doesn't really reach high. It just gets like it's floating.
Okay.
Yeah, and when it's floating, it can be bouncing all around and give you weird numbers like 135 and 35. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
this, I bet you that, Doug, that really helps. Now I know
It
you might have
probably
other
will.
issues, but I bet that one is going to be a big one.
Let me see if this. I'm probably still sharing. I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
We'll
You got to
see.
do all four though.
yeah, you got to do all four.
Right. I am. Let me. The motor's running here. Boy, since I moved this other battery, it's real hard to reach the switch. There it is. So the reason I did that little experiment, because you can see the difference. Oh, I've got my encoders backwards here. That's actually, that looks like it made a difference. These two columns are the left and right
Yeah.
encoders, and they're much easier now.
Yeah, well, put that on all of them, all four
Yeah.
input leads, and I think you'll see
Yeah.
a big difference. Why
Yeah,
don't you
I'll
do
do
that
that.
right now and give it a shot, just so we can all see?
Okay. Did I stop sharing?
Nah,
Yeah.
you can. Well, you can. Yeah.
We can tell you what our next guest is.
So let me get back to here and share. We'll try this. I put that in the code to be.
Yep.
Those are much closer now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I was getting like 120 on the left and 35 on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good. I'll play with
That was
that
it.
for a while.
Okay. What is the RPM of the motor at full speed? Do you know?
55 revolutions per minute.
Okay. And what is these ticks are per second or per
Uh,
minute, or no? It couldn't be per minute. Per
I am doing. Let me get to my test interrupt code here. I'm running a delay of 100 microseconds,
Okay.
and then displaying the things. I can plug in my power here. So every 100 microseconds, I'm showing the ticks on the left and the ticks on the right, and then
Okay.
the ticks difference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I've tried various other things and that's at speed. Oh, right now I've got the speed of the left one bumped up a little bit because that made it go straight.
Yeah.
And I tried to write a little routine that used the encoder information, but while I wasn't getting any, it was crap. Like, see this table here? That's what I was getting from the encoders at various speeds of PWM here.
So which one were you adding the 40 to?
This one.
To
Which
the
was
left?
counterproductive, or counterintuitive, rather.
Yeah.
It's like if I didn't add anything, the robot would veer to the left.
Yeah.
So add it to the left, and that straightened it out.
But so you got it going straight, right?
Right.
All right. So they should be approximately equal.
Right.
All right. And where was your last results? How did they look?
And let's see. The last results were very close to being equal. The differences were like
Yeah.
single digits.
Okay. Well, I think yeah, you kind of got a pulse going on.
Right. So I think that may have given me something to play with.
Okay.
And
Well,
then the question is, how much PWM can I give it? Because that one's at 240,
yeah.
and this one's at 200.
Mm.
Because the speed is 200 base.
It's a little odd though in your numbers we just saw.
Yeah.
Sometimes one was registering more ticks per second than the other.
You're right. I mean, they're not very standard, and right now there's no load. It's just sitting on the box dangling in the air.
Yeah, because on the one case you got, there's 120, 113 and 127,
Right.
minus 14 difference, and then it goes
Yeah.
positive.
The whole thing I noticed was just going crazy, but
Yeah.
I basically felt like I couldn't trust them, and when I tried to bump it slowly, because I thought, a slow change to even them out, I thought would make it go straight. Silly me. It basically made no difference at all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop sharing if y'all are done looking at all that.
Okay. Well, I hope that helps.
Yeah, it did help. It gave me legitimate numbers, so
Yeah.
maybe I can get something there and actually have a differential drive robot. I was feeling pretty bad that the differential plan wasn't working, and I was going back to my old skid steer plan
Okay.
because I want something to work by December.
Hi,
I need to
Mickey.
get the other parts.
Okay. Well, that's
I can
good.
always go back and play with programming.
Okay. Well, that's
So that's
good.
all I had.
All right.
Thanks
All
for the
right.
update on that resistor thing. Who knew?
Yeah. Ray, you.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it finally got all my security system updates done. I went to a different module. These are still based on the SIM 780.
Yeah.
Here's the GPS antenna and the LTE antenna. This one is good for, let's see, 698 to 2.6 megahertz, or 2.6 gigahertz rather, for the different bands. The band I'm working on is actually, I think, one of the lowest ones. It's at like 700 megahertz in this area on T-Mobile. I was initially planning on using this is like a fully integrated module. It's got a battery holder on the back and an ESP32 on the top here, up here, and the SIM module on the bottom. You could hook up a camera to it if you wanted. It's got a power management chip, so you can get it into various states of lower and lower power. You can turn off the GPS antenna. You can put it in sleep mode, so it, the SIM module can get woken up by something that the ESP sensed or noticed. That's kind of nice in that it's all in one module, but if something breaks, I can't fix this module. It's surface mount. Its components are very small. I just have to chuck it. So that's why I went to individual things, and these are boards that you can get for that same module, but it just has the SIM module on it, the SIM 780G, and you make, it's got the this one's got the SIM card on the front right here, SIM card holder, and you talk to it serially with AT commands. Any of the that's how you communicate with any of these modules. They're all the same, the 780G. So you just have to know, out of a long list of AT commands, which ones that you need to do what you want to do.
What is that? What is that product?
This? It's just a breakout board for the SIM 780G, which is good for the bands and the carriers that are supported in the U.S.
Can you link that?
Say it again.
Can you link that in chat or the product?
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, so Random Nerd Tutorials did one on a board similar to this one. It was based on the Sim 7000, not the 780G, and he's used the Tiny GSM library, which is a pretty good library. So I use it as well on that board. So I can basically send and receive. See if we can somehow get that to show. Ooh, man, that's bright. Come on,
Yeah,
dim
it's
down.
too bright.
Too bright. Yep.
Hold it back maybe a little bit. Maybe we can see something. Yeah, I think it's.
Too bright. Let me see if last time. Oh, there we go. I think it just dimmed out. So those are different messages from the. Of course, now it's going to be bright again. Like, house main battery low, rec room window open. Hello from, and there's the IMEI number. Service porch door open. That kind of stuff. And
What's the GPS used for?
If you wanted to stick it on a vehicle and report its location, you could,
Oh, yeah.
if it moves.
Well,
or some piece of
if
equipment.
in case his house gets flooded and the river carries his house away, he'll be able to find it.
Yeah,
Let's hope not. Yeah, if it's stationary, then GPS isn't very good,
yeah.
or not too useful. So it's kind of handy, pretty much anywhere that I can receive a text.
Yeah.
I'll know what's going on. I do have a separate 4-channel, video recorder. I'd like to be able to get like I guess it would be in like an MPEG file from that shows all 4 images on one frame. It'll do that now. You can bring it up and say, okay, I want to see all 4 images, and they'll show you what they are on one frame or one screen. I'd like to be able to send that or to take a look at it, basically do a snapshot and say, okay, I want to see that, whatever snapshot that was. So, but that's a future thing. So, but anyway.
So right now, what they do is they record this to an onboard SD card.
It's actually a hard disk drive.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
the unit.
So you have a recording of everything you see.
Yeah. So, let's see, where are they? Oh yeah. So I think I showed it to you last time. This was 2 boards that were destroyed from the lightning strike. One was a Mega, and the other is
Yeah.
And that's the the one with the missing.
The one with the extra hole.
The extra hole in the top there. You can see it right here. But yeah, I didn't see it, but my next door neighbor said he saw it. It was like the no time difference between the boom and the flash. So it was,
Yeah.
So it looked like a lightning strike that fried the 2 boards. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping with this design, I've got the 2 boards, lit up to isolator in between them. So hopefully any induced voltage in the wiring, it's going to be able to tolerate it and not fry everything. Maybe it'll just fry one board.
Well, I guess that's progress.
Yeah. So
Okay.
took a lot to do. It's a rat's nest. I need to clean it all up, but at least it's functional again. So
Yeah. So, do you use these to just monitor your driveway, or do you have it around your place, or?
It's, all the, there's like a magnet and a reed switch in every window and door. And
Oh, okay.
so if any of those get tripped, that's what I actually used, instead of wiring those directly to the ESP32, I used a MCP 23017 port expander.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 16. You can either make them as 16 inputs or 16 outputs, or a combination
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
of both. It's I2C, so there's minimal connection to it, or minimum wires required to connect to it. So yeah, it basically continuously scans through those, and if anything trips, it sends me a message that I can read and interpret, as opposed to some code that I have to interpret. It just sends me a text message and says
Mm-hmm.
such and such door is open, or such and such window is open.
Yeah.
Or,
Do you have much crime out there, Ray?
so far, knock on wood, not yet, but
Yeah.
there was a guy that I used to work with at the food pantry, and ex-policeman, and he kind of thought rural areas can be hit pretty hard by crime because
They're
houses are far
isolated.
apart.
Yeah.
So to my knowledge, nobody's house has been broken into on this street.
So far, so good.
But folks in the country, a lot of people have guns. There's a guy that set up a little bullet trap right on his property. He practices just about every day, so
Yeah.
I hear gunfire all the time. So hopefully it'll kind of scare him away.
Yeah.
It's like that sign, I have a gun and a backhoe.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Doug, I found something. John might be interested in, the both things. So I'll show you the things now.
Okay, that
So let
sounds
me
good, John.
Share
Let me.
a, let's see, a window. I think that's where we go with this. Yes. So the first thing up is more generic-ish, but it looks like it could be a Halloween thing, and it has arms that move, so I could see that being scary.
Yeah.
kind of looks like maybe it was modeled after the Jetsons robot.
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing. It doesn't give, it has all the parts you can print. It doesn't give you very much else. No video.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that one was sort of interesting just for the print and the design.
Okay, question.
Yes.
What was the Jetsons' maid's name? Who knows?
Rosie. I want to say
Okay.
Rosie.
Okay.
Was it
All right. I'm just curious. Okay, go ahead, John.
And then the other thing, which is more interesting, is
Ooh.
that
Okay.
hack and repair of Halloween skeletons. So you might find this of interest, John. so
That's
it
all
talks about all the parts about making it stand up and doing the head and the sockets for the arms and that. So you might take a look and see if it matches with yours.
So those are all 3D printed parts?
It's something they got and modified. So, and he talks about modification. So I don't think he 3D printed them.
Oh,
He talks about surgery and adding things to the hip and that to get it to move.
Yeah, I think John, I was suspecting might have done some 3D printing.
Well, yeah, I suspect so in the
yeah.
process.
Look at the joints there. You see
Right.
the little ridges on the white
Right.
plastic part. That's that's what keeps the joint in place. Once you
Right.
print it.
They talk about surgery on it, so so hence they take it apart and add stuff, and I want to say this actually does look like Home Depot
That is
box.
That is
So,
very, very close to what I have.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why I would say you might want to look at this more closely because it was in
Can
when
you
this
link that
was
into
in
the chat?
2017.
Oh, in
Okay.
Ray, uh,
Yeah.
would there was a request for a board link? If you can
Yeah, I'm
put that
working on
in.
it now.
Okay. Okay. So, so John, did you link that in?
And I'm working for it. It should be there.
Okay, cool. That might
Check
be
this on the
useful,
right one.
John. You never know.
Well, it was interesting. So I
Yeah.
was like, when I saw that. So
It looks like with a guy with a similar problem.
yeah. And as I say, he did surgery. It goes in detail, but I haven't looked at it real closely. I just saw the basic tile and was like,
Yeah.
huh.
I don't see any electronics or motors though.
No, well, you could add. I mean, that's
Yeah. No,
just
but
trying to get it so it
he was
could
talking
move.
about a head turning thing, and I thought
Oh, yeah.
first thought was, well, it would turn in the head, but I
No, he
guess it
was
just
trying to
may.
get it to pose better, seemingly,
Okay.
because see, originally it was built with ideal just hanging
Yeah.
from the head, literally, just like there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I thought that you might find that interesting. And then, as I said, the other one was more, well, just parts that you can print. Now, it is interesting if you look at the arm here, how that the arm could move by using a servo or that.
Yeah. Can you slide through the part files
Yeah.
underneath and see if we
So
can
there's
find?
that. And then there's the base.
Yeah.
And then from there is, all the different parts
Yeah.
to build.
I'm just curious if he. Let's see how hard it is.
What do you think it is? Like 3 feet tall, maybe?
Give or take.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of parts to it, though.
Yeah, but I was wondering if he had the claw, the hand.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at. It's probably at the
HSP.
tail end. That could be.
There's something with servos, two directional.
That's in their chest. Yeah, one of those was it.
Front of the head, back of the head.
Probably that one. Right there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because let's go back to the picture. We got a little closer.
Mhm.
Oh, too far. Yeah.
Only took 40 hours to print, right?
So yeah,
Oh, yeah. I look at something like this, and I don't see this as a lot of this should not have been printed. They ought to
Hell
use
yeah.
other techniques to make a
Yeah.
lot of this. The arms, I'll go with them, letting them be printed, but the body
Yeah.
plates, that seems like a lot of work for.
Yeah, but gives it the look, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, I guess you're right. It's
So
probably
anyway,
pretty light.
so those were the two things I found that was, on the theme of tonight, partially.
Hmm. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So, kind of going back to John. John, what's your next plans after you get this? Not this year, but next year and the year after. Are you building up to something, or just whatever it hits you?
Whatever hits me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I was just wondering if we were seeing, the beginning of the fright monster super door or something.
Well, it might be nice to do a complete redesign of the spider.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
You could put the skeleton head on Rosie's body, kind of a hybrid. I don't know what that would be, humanoid robot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I might evolve the skeleton to get like moving arms.
Mm.
Yeah.
As not only do the eyes follow you, but as somebody comes up, as the kids come up, the arm comes up like this and follows them.
Yeah. Hey kid, I'm looking at you. Yeah, that'd be neat.
I don't know. In the neighborhood that we grew up, if you put something like that on the porch, you might as well, you know, face the fact that somebody's going to either steal it or destroy it. I don't know.
Well,
You must have really good kids in your neighborhood.
no, it's not something I would leave out. I would always be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So some of you guys need to think about doing a Halloween project.
Well, like I say, I know Ray. I feel probably like Ray does. I get so few people that it's not really something that it would be worthwhile. I would love to, John, to have, if I had, 50 or 60 kids on that night, I would think it'd be fun to do something. We used to have one that was really simple. It was just a mat, like you put under people that are in a hospital, so that if they get off the mat, it goes off. But we put it under the doormat, and when the kids stepped up on the doormat, it would do some sort of like or something like that. And man, those little kids, we'd almost have to peel them off the ceiling. It was pretty tricky. And then we had another one that we thought that seemed to work. We used to put a few red LEDs, just kind of like point-to-point wiring, just real, not elaborate at all. Just put them in the bushes, but we don't have bushes now, but we used to have bushes up by the house. And so it looked like you had little eyes in the bush, you know what I mean? And that was kind of cool. There was a few things we did, but nothing like what you've been doing.
Well, if you don't get people on Halloween, you just need to team up with a friend who does get lots of
Yeah,
visitors.
well, that's possible. That's an idea.
So there'll be a future, psych study where, kids in a certain area were,
Traumatized.
psychologically damaged somehow from the Halloween experience.
Well, there's a guy at the end of my block. He goes full bore for every holiday. So Christmas, it's like he lights up the whole the whole house and the trees and everything, decorations, you name it. And for Halloween, he puts the skeletons up in
the graves,
lanterns, and I talked to him. And it's like last year I almost teamed up with him on the putting the skeleton out, the head at least. Maybe I'll talk to him again this year and see. Maybe I'll have my skeleton as part of his decorations.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many kids, bashed pumpkins when they were like a young teenager? Anybody do that during Halloween?
Yeah.
Nobody? Yeah. Okay.
But we did one of the things. I can't say I did it, but I knew who did it. The thing they did was they took fishing line and ran it from a stop sign to a traffic pole, so that when people went by, it knocked off their antennas.
Oh God.
And but tried to keep away from that. Yeah. And we used to have a black cat, so we always had to make sure he was inside the whole night, because we were always worried about him accidentally being caught in the wrong spot by the wrong people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they wouldn't do anything to Puss.
Well, you'd be surprised. I saw another YouTube video the day where it showed this cat with its front legs, like if you can imagine its front legs sticking 90 degrees out the back of its body. And when they took it to the vet, they said this was a human inflicted.
Ooh.
Somebody, I guess, grabbed him and
Ooh,
you know.
God.
But they didn't think they were going to be able to, but apparently they were able to at least do a partial recovery, and he's living in it with a good home now. But
Yeah, we only harmed pumpkins, no animals.
no,
So,
I think that's a sign of you've seen when somebody who does something like that, they kind of cross the line into the, maybe
animal
they,
abuse.
yeah, then maybe they might be,
Mm.
may not be all right upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Animals first, and then humans.
Yeah, and probably some of them. You remember I think it was the first Toy Story where there was the kid who tore up his sister's dogs and sister's dolls and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's more common than you think. And then I mean, some of these kids I think exhibit. I'm just going to call it a cry for help before they go, I guess, completely bonkers.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Everybody's been really quiet. Hey, Pat, what you got going? Anything? Anything?
I got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know, maybe a year ago or so, you presented a robot and you had a PVC pipe, I believe, as a mask for
Yes.
sensors.
Yes.
And you had printed some brackets to fit that. Sort of like some T-brackets that you could slide over the pipe and they would hold different
Oh, yeah.
sensors or boards or stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a link to where you got those brackets, or can you share your
Okay.
Excel files?
I will put those. I think let me go get that. I think I know what robot you're talking about. Let me get it and I'll point to things and you can say yeah. Okay.
Sure.
And I can put those files if I can find them. You know how those things are. You'd think they'd be really easy to find, right?
Yeah, Ray's got one.
Well, that was a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Types.
So
I think-
I'm looking for something to replace my little wooden mask on my robot. That
Is it cracked or something?
it's just too fragile.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the PVC is pretty tough. I mean, you can bend it, twist it around.
So.
There you go.
See this? This is my basic clamp. And it has 3 what do they call those things? Inserts. 3 little brass inserts that you heat up your soldering iron and you put an insert on the end of it and you just stick it into the plastic and now you have a screw.
Now you
Okay.
can tighten up the screw. Yeah.
Let me
Or
put my
nut.
head on. Here's on.
Like a little nut cert or whatever that you can melt into the plastic.
Right. Yeah. There's different types of those inserts that you can get. I usually get the 3mm ones, and I get the ones. There's good ones and there's bad ones. The good ones are a little bit longer, and the striations that are on the brass to hold onto the plastic are divided into 2 regions, one going one way and one going the other way, tilted, okay? And they're probably twice the cost of the cheapest ones you can buy, but they're so much superior to the other ones that I don't even, I've got some of the cheap ones, but I don't even use them. So this one here is the basic thing. Then you can see on this end, let's see if I can get, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can see there's a bracket here for holding a servo that fits onto this guy, and then the servo is hanging from that bracket, and then there's another piece that fits, in this case, a camera, but you make anything you want. And then on this bottom one, I just have a shelf, a standard shelf. I don't know if you can see in there.
You mean just a flat
Yeah,
surface?
it's just like you could do it with a piece of angle iron, or angle aluminum. You wouldn't use iron, but that way. So these are just. Oh, here's one down here. I got one. Here's an example of. Oh, what is that? Oh, this is the servo one down here. Can you see? Can you guys see anything on there? See how it? Maybe right there. You can.
A little bit in there.
Yeah. So, but it's holding on to this green bracket. Now, I do this. See how this is just a big round tube that I slice into, and then I use a heat gun to flatten it out, and I just actually push it against a piece of plywood to make it flat. And I might do a little hammering, and then do the final. I might just touch it up with a sander, and that makes it's probably not something you want to have exposed like this one, but there's one also underneath here.
So
Okay.
it was a PVC tee that you cut and
Yeah.
melted, or
Yeah,
not
well-
melted, but softened and.
Yeah, well, I did cut it. I cut it, Ray, and then I softened it and flattened it out. PVC pipe, with a heat gun is pretty formable. You can do almost anything with it.
Yeah.
I spent years bending PVC pipe on a barbecue for
Yeah.
Apartments, hospitals, whatever.
Yeah.
Bending them
And
by the dozens.
so, anyway, that's that clamp system worked out really well. And
Yeah, so that's what I'm sort of looking at is put a clamp, a piece of 3/4 inch pipe or something in there, 3/4 inch PVC,
yeah,
and just with a threaded flange at the bottom.
Yeah.
And a little mast, and then be able to put sensors off of it.
yeah. Let me see if I can find one of those little inserts for you. Give me a second.
While he's looking for that, I got a word about heat and Raspberry Pis. Because of course, we've had some really hot days here recently, and one of my concerns was my security camera, my street security camera, which is a license plate reader that I built. It's in a totally enclosed box. And in addition to having the Pi 02W in there, it's also got 28 infrared LEDs that are creating some heat as well. Well, I monitor I've got a log of the temperature, and it records the maximum temperature over, however long I run it. But then basically in the past 3 weeks, with the temperatures.
Can
as
you
high
see
as
that at all?
Yeah.
Probably can't. But that's a crap one. You don't want those. You want one that looks like this. See, it's
I
got
sort of
two
see-
regions.
sort
I
of
don't
see
know
the
if you
two
might
parts
not
to
be
it.
able to see the detail,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
You sort
that's
of
a
see
much
groove between
superior
top and bottom half.
insert.
So are you supposed
And,
to just like a shoulder
You can
rest
kind of
on,
tell when you look at them because,
on the plastic so you can't pull it through?
first
the
of all, they'll
screen?
cost more, but you can see, well, if I was sticking that into plastic, they would hold better.
The long story short on the temperature comment was that the highest temperature I recorded over the past several weeks was 80.6 degrees Celsius, which is still within operating temperature range for the Pi 0W.
Wow.
So anybody's
Celsius,
considering
98
it out.
Celsius?
What's that?
98 Celsius?
No, 80.6 degrees Celsius.
Oh, Celsius.
CPU.
So that's still very warm. What's that in Fahrenheit? I mean, 100 degrees is boiling, right?
Yeah.
212.
Well, the Raspberry Pi CPU will start throttling at 85, I think. That's the CPU temperature.
Yeah.
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 So, bottom line is I'm learning that you can put a Raspberry Pi in a closed box with no ventilation, and then, well, at least a Pi 02W, and even in the Texas heat, it'll survive.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Now,
little ventilation helps too.
mind you, it's not in direct sunlight. It's on the north side of the mailbox.
Oh.
It might be a different story if it was in direct sunlight.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I think
they'll-
mine were not as sophisticated as Doug's. I didn't have any metal inserts. It's just a friction fit on the pipe.
Yeah.
And whatever, like that one is got, two arms with holes in it so I could hinge something up and down. And that was the one that I did that holds a servo.
Mhm.
But again, it's, this is friction fit on the pipe, and takes a couple passes. It's Ackley's rule of three, I think. The first one just falls down the pipe. The second one won't go on the pipe, and then the third one is just right.
Do you just scale them to fit, or do you just redesign them all?
No, I just shrunk it just like a millimeter, and that was enough. And these are kind of coarse prints. You can kind of see the different. It's not a circle, it's multi-segment, like it's polygon. Yeah, I can kind of reflect a little bit of light in there. So that actually does make a difference, because it's, you measure it, you set it to that exactly, but this isn't printed, that accurately, because it's a multi-sided polygon. It's not a circle. So,
Yeah, it makes
all those
that
those
makes the
pieces are gonna
tolerances a
interfere.
little harder, a lot harder to figure out.
What's that?
That makes the tolerances a lot harder to figure out. Typically, for my 3D printing, if I'm going to have a part that press fits over another, I never design them to fit exactly in the model. I usually put an offset of about 0.2 millimeters if it's something circular.
Yeah.
Now,
So just 0.2?
yeah, just 0.2 millimeters if you want a good solid press fit.
Yeah, friction fit, yeah.
So 0.2 millimeters smaller or larger?
The
Smaller than the diameter.
Yeah, the
Smaller
inner basically you put an offset, whatever, typically if I've got a tube, I'll put an offset of minus 0.2 millimeters inside the tube to expand it.
Yeah.
Because if you print the two parts exactly the same size, you probably won't be able to get them together.
Yeah, I think I had to change mine by it's either just under a millimeter or just, right around a millimeter, but just under it, I think, to get the right fit. But like I said, it's, I went for high-speed printing,
Yeah.
kind of a really coarse, print, and they hold together and they seem to work pretty good. And usually the rings are like 2 millimeters thick, and the flat bars or like mounting horns will be like 3, and that doesn't consume a lot of plastic, but is stout enough and stiff enough to hold whatever you'd be hanging off this thing anyway. So
What material are you using?
that was all PLA. So
One of my concerns in the Texas heat.
I just have to remember not to leave it in the car in the summer.
Exactly. If that outdoor box on my camera, I use PETG. It's got most of the common materials. It's got one of the highest melting points. So there's no danger of it melting in the Texas heat. PLA, yeah, it wouldn't survive.
Yeah, it'd be a blob, I think.
Well, it might not be a blob, but it'll definitely deform.
I need to survive your November Texas heat.
You said something, Dave? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I use just straight ABS. That works good.
How are the fumes?
Well, I run it outside or in the garage.
Okay.
Actually, okay. Here is a link. I'm going to put a link for the basic clamp. I may have made some small modifications to it, but this is a SCAD program, so that means that you can modify it using OpenSCAD without any problem. That's not very hard to do. So here it is. I'm going to just call it clamp file and put that on there. All right, and I apparently found okay, I've got the number 33.6, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what that is. I would assume that's the 33, a little over an inch, right? A millimeter.
It's probably for inch PVC because that's the inch is the inside diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dimension of the inside of the diameter on my printer, and it's not really critical because you got a clamp, is 33.6 millimeters. So hopefully that'll help you, Pat.
Definitely. It just gives me an idea of shape and what you're using, and if I have to scale it up or down, I can go from there.
Well, like I said, this one comes with an SCA, I think it's SCAD program, SCAD, and so that's a parametric modeler. So you have control over, how high, how everything you want, you can change, and so it's pretty cool. So you can customize them to your needs and things. But I don't think I did a whole lot to that one. I thought I printed one out. I got what I considered to be the right size for the diameter, and it seemed to work okay. And
That's 35.
35. Okay, so
Yeah, but like I said, it is a little coarser.
Yeah. So
Millimeters.
yeah, that kind of makes, so 33.6 was apparently what I used, and probably popped it on there and then just clamped it in. But you can dial that in with that. Who knows, Canadians might have weird sized inch pipes.
No, pretty much it's all same size. So we're pretty much the same standard as the U.S. right now.
Okay, I'm just kidding you.
Well, as long as
Well,
you don't,
you know what 6 millimeters is. It's the new quarter inch.
Definitely.
So
well,
Even when you're buying plywood, that
as
quarter
long
inch,
as you don't set parameters that destroy your printer.
yeah.
it'll be less than quarter inch, and it won't be 6 millimeters. It'll be some oddball 5.3 or something.
Oh god. I hope not.
It's weird the way they do things now.
Yeah, well, most of the stuff I'm getting now is either 3 millimeters or 6 millimeters. So, eighth.
I kind of wonder is Schedule 20 thinner than Schedule 40?
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Yes. So normal PVC pipe is Schedule 40
Oh,
for electrical, and I think it's the same for plumbing. I think it's still Schedule 40 for plumbing.
okay.
I don't know. It turns out there's no exposed writing on the pipe. Oh, no. No. I don't know. Nothing that looks either like 20 or 40. Anyway. This is lightweight tubing because I was trying to get it light. So it's not the real thick PVC. It's the thin. It's the sort of you'd see a lot of this being used in sprinkler systems and stuff.
Well, it could be thinner than Schedule 40. I know electrical trade is Schedule 40.
Yeah.
And, your ABS pipes that you buy for drains and whatever, the black stuff, Schedule 40.
Yeah.
The plumbing stuff, the white, the yellowish stuff, might be thinner.
Now this is white. This is not yellow. I know what you're talking about, that yellow stuff. Now this is white. Didn't the yellow stuff for heat or something? I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I thought the
well-
yellow stuff was CPVC, which different.
Maybe that's what it is.
No,
CPVC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and realistically, if you're going to a competition and you're not just sitting your robot to bake in the middle of August here, then I get PLAs works okay for me on my outdoor robots. Now I will do ABS if I get concerned about it, but a lot of my parts I do because it's easier to print PLA. I usually do the first initial prototype in PLA, which almost always guarantees that there's a good chance that the prototype will actually be on the on the robot, because I don't want to spend time to make another one, But I haven't had any real issues yet. So, but I haven't, been our most of our competitions for that type of robot are in November, so it's a little different.
Well, unless you leave your robot out, in the
Or
heat,
store
you're
in
not
the
going to have a
car.
problem.
Yeah.
It depends on how much internal heat you're generating if you got a closed box.
Right, and now there's some place you really have to be careful about is if you're like trying to put a part next to a motor or something like that. It'll almost guarantee it'll. Otherwise, I
That's
would
what
never.
wood metal is for.
Yeah, I would never make a PLA motor housing or a motor bracket. That's just not. That's not going to get it. That's going to be for me. It'll be ABS. I wish it could be nylon, but I don't. I don't. For me to do nylon, it's really a pain in the butt. So.
That gives me a lot of good info and stuff to go on there.
Yeah. So what type
Yeah,
of printer you got, Pat?
I've got an Ender 3V2.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, an Ender? Ender? Did you say Ender?
Ender.
Okay, so you got a
END,
you got a Creality.
Reality, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It's actually sitting in the back seat of my truck. I haven't unloaded it yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So did you get the
And
Pro
we're
or
not
the
dealing with
regular?
Texas heat. It was 19 degrees C today, so
Yeah.
whatever
Did you
that
get
is.
the Pro or the
Right?
regular?
It's 9/5 C plus 32.
Double it and add 30,
Just about, yeah.
the Canadian way.
Uh-huh. Well, that's cool. I never thought of it that way. Double it and add 30, huh?
Yeah, so if it's 19 degrees C, it's 38, and plus 30, so it's 68 degrees.
Okay.
Well, you want to do it exact. You double it, subtract 10%, and add the 32.
Well, guys, it was real.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's we're kind of petering out. It's 9 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. Yeah.
Before you do, I came across SparkFun as a VR IMU, which is supposed to be very good at angles. It's $30, but hey, its claim to fame is for VR, where you want to know the angles very accurately and not have much drift.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about being maybe 2 degrees off.
Yeah. Well, that'd be interesting. I got one of these. Kareem had who was it? It was Scott.
Scott
He had
Gibson.
one of these wit motion things, and I got one, and I got it because they say that you can hook up a GPS to it, and so that was one thing I'm trying to do. The actual sensor that's not without a GPS seems to work pretty reasonably, but I haven't been able to get a GPS to work on it yet. So I still got some exploring there. I've been having trouble every time I load their software. My machine freezes up, so I got to figure out what's going on there. I can't imagine. All I'm doing is plugging in a USB, you know. But anyway. So,
Mickey Dean have a question?
hmm?
Mickey
I think he
Dean
did,
raised
yeah.
his hand a minute ago.
Yeah, he's got it on the list. He's got a question.
Okay. Go ahead, Mickey. What's going? You're muted, Mickey.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Am I still muted?
Nope, you're good.
Nope.
Good. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure this thing out. I'm still trying to figure out how to attach the rubber tread more securely. I know we've talked about like the RC tire glue, and I know that's my concern is how quickly it might cure up, because I'm gonna have to work my way around the entire circumference, which is about 25 inches, and it's not an easy process trying to pry up the tire and get yourself around there the whole time. So I'm almost thinking if I can get something like Flex Seal. I know it's not a super good adhesive, but I don't think I need just a little adhesion. But I'm just wondering if anybody thinks that if Flex Seal, because it can expand a little bit in that cavity, it might actually be better for my purpose, if not necessarily the best adhesion. What do you think?
What is your rim made out of?
Plastic.
Okay. With Flex Seal, you know, if it doesn't work, you know, how can you work your way back? Is it you're going to be able to clean
same
it
thing
off?
with RC. Same thing with RC tire glue too, though, right?
You know, I think RC tire glue is just a formulation of super glue.
Right, I think so too.
Probably.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if they're using something like gel to give you more work time or not.
Right.
But you know, usually on that, just my first thought it would be easier to clean off than Flex Seal. You know, just hit it with a little steel wool or something.
Well, I don't know. I can't really separate the tire. I mean, once I take that rubber off, I'm not getting it back on that rim without some sort of like what they would use for a car tire or something. Something that, I mean, it would take an awful lot to get that little rubber back on that rim. So I'm basically just prying it up and getting enough room to get in there and get something in there, and then working my way around. I don't know if that's the best method, but that's all I can think of right now.
Can you squeeze it down? If you squeezed it a little bit, would it separate from the rim? Because you're only
No. No, I have to pry it up. Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard. It's hard rubber.
You're saying 25 inches?
It's an 8-inch tall wheel, and if you
right?
do the math, yeah. I have to work my way. It may not be quite, because it's kind of like about an inch away from the actual edge, so it might be slightly smaller than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what if you did it? You know, if let's just say you were doing it, and you ran out of working time, and so it started to seal on one end, and you kept going around.
Right.
Are you going to be able to continue going around?
I don't know. That's exactly kind of looking for people who may have some idea in the areas like this that I have no experience in. So yeah.
Yeah, tires were smaller, and I used this. I just used super glue. I didn't use, but I don't see. My first thought is, Flex Seal would probably work. I mean,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't think you would have too much trouble with it. The nice thing about a lot of the super glues is that they pour down they can be applied pretty easily. You know what I'm saying? And Flex Seal, if I remember right, it's pretty viscous. So you might have a little bit of trouble. You might have to put it in a syringe or something, force it out.
Right. I was thinking along the lines of like a caulking gun, whether it be an actual caulking gun, but something along that line where I can like just squeeze it out. Because I'm thinking that when I pry it up, I'm going to have, if I use something too fluid, it's just going to sort of pour out the other end, you know. And if with the Flex Seal, I'm thinking with it being more viscous, that maybe I can actually keep it inside that plastic rim, or you know, underneath the rubber, so that it stays where I want it more until it can actually set.
What's the working time on that? And
I don't know.
30 minutes, an hour?
Yeah, I'd actually have to investigate. I'm just kind of mainly the information, you know, trying to figure out what you guys might think. And then I want to do some hard investigation this week. I want it done because I've been dragging my feet for almost a month now, trying to figure out the right way to do this. Because I know if I get something in there, I can't get it out usually. And I kind of want to make sure I use the smartest choice first.
Do you have a picture? Can you show us one of the wheels? The reason why I'm saying is 8-inch wheels are sometimes hard to come by. I was just wondering what source
well, they came with the mower, the Troy Builts. It's just a standard wheel that came with it, so it's a Troy Built mower.
Okay.
But I was actually wondering, because I didn't want to go downstairs, and I was thinking if we have to, I definitely, you know, I can put this off for one more week, and I would definitely be set up downstairs to show pictures and maybe even pry it up and all that. But I, you know, just mainly want to really try and start within the next week figuring out a plan on it.
Well, since it's a standard wheel that you can, Troyville, if I remember right, their wheels don't have gears in them, right? This is not a gear wheeled.
Correct. It's just a standard old wheel, yeah.
All right. So if you screwed one like I did to my laser earlier, how much would it cost you to replace it?
I have a spare, so I'm not. That wasn't my huge concern, but obviously I don't want to just waste. You know, I want to still be smart about it. But yeah, I have a spare if worse comes to worse. So.
Yeah, I'd say I'd go for it then.
Okay. Are you still thinking Flex Seal, or would you think the RC glue would be the first?
I think you could. You're never going to go there again, right?
Right.
I think you could even probably use silicon.
Yeah.
Flex Seal might be the best.
Yeah, I think the viscousness of it might be easier to work with as opposed to something too fluid. It just because I am going to have to kind of have both ends pried up, and it's just going to be an easy hole for it to just leak right on the back, which is just going to be a mess. So.
Well, you only have to do one side first, and then.
Correct. Yeah.
And then the other side. So, yeah, if you got a spare, and if I remember well, you know, I'm sure to get one of their tires probably costs $15.
Yeah, it couldn't be much. I mean, I was even say I'd be willing even 30, right? So yeah, $20 maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go for it.
Okay, thank you. It makes me feel a little. I've been, like I said, I overthink things, and things like this, a kind of one-shot deal. I just really wanted some advice.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to tell somebody else to do it. I know, because I do the same thing you're talking about. I've been building an enclosure to fit my new small mill, and you know, this thing is taking way too long because I'm overthinking everything. But anyway,
Thank you, Doug.
I would really like to see, though. You know, next time if you can get a couple of pictures, just show them, pop them up.
Yeah, I really want it running. I want it running this before the summer ends, because I mean that was the goal, but I've been dragging my feet on this one issue because I kind of just want to make a smart choice here, and the traction issue is, I mean, I know everything's going to work. It's this one traction issue, and I understand why it's happening. I just, you know, want to make sure I get the smartest solution.
Does Troy-Bilt still use the where you drop a bar on the top of the wheel and it pushes against the wheel and rotates, and then the wheel rotates underneath the two. Otherwise, what I'm saying, I had a Troy-Bilt many years ago, and I believe, well, no, wait a minute, that was not a Troy-Bilt. That was another name brand, something or other. But anyway, okay, never mind. I'm sorry. You know, I'm just if they don't have gears on the wheels, how do they put the axles are locked to the wheels then?
Correct. It's just a free spinning wheel that I have attached a hub to, and then I'm able to put that motor with the gearbox on it. So kind of made my own self-propelled, sort of, kind of, and But yeah, it's just a little post that sticks out, and the wheel just fits on top of it. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, cool. Like I say, like to see it. Like to see it. Maybe next time you can show us a few pictures. It'd be fun. I know you're not
Appreciate the
gonna,
advice.
you know.
Appreciate the advice.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Um, let's see.
Oh, I've got a good mowing thing. So I have a zero turn. You know, we just got one, and my wife's been wanting to drive it, but she doesn't have a lot of luck with riding lawnmowers. Like, it, you know, one of the other ones that we had, it had a separate clutch and brake, and for some reason she came up to the garage door, and I don't know if she just hit one or didn't hit them both hard enough, but put two little dents in one of the overhead garage doors.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, I think that was pilot error, but she's never wanted to admit that it was pilot error.
Mm-hmm.
So she's so usually I drive the zero turn because it's a little more difficult to drive, and she does the, like with a push mower, does the edging close to the buildings and stuff, so I don't have to, you know, put a scrape on the new zero turn mower, the mower deck, you know, from getting too close to something or whatever. Anyway, so she's mowing along. I hear this big bang, and the mower stops, you know, and come over there, and oil is leaking out from the bottom of it, you know. So
Ooh.
it's like, ooh, this is not good. And you know, I said, did you hit something or run over something or what happened, you know? And she said, I don't know. It just made this noise, and it, you know, it stopped rotating, you know. And, so, like I said, I looked underneath it, and there's actually a crack in the block. So I don't know if it was, it may have been a pretty good sized bolt that was used to, they're actually, it's like a clamp that goes on a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah.
And you actually, you know, there's a threaded end and a unthreaded end. You stick a bolt in there and tighten this clamp around it. Anyway, I think she found that nut in the grass somewhere, and or bolt rather, and it actually threw it at the bottom of the crankcase on the bottom side of the mower, and put a hole in it. So
holy mackerel! Did she lose all oil?
Yeah.
Why when it
Yeah.
stopped, was it because it froze up?
Well, no, it didn't freeze. I don't know if it just stalled out or what, but or if she stopped it. I think she may have let go of the control.
Okay.
So I didn't see that part. I just heard the bang, and then, you know, came over and said, "What happened?"
Oh well.
Patch
So-
it with some metal epoxy.
I could try it. It probably won't hold though, you know. So I don't know. Maybe aluminum welding or something, but it's
We'll
probably
try
time
it.
for a new mower.
So it's just the bottom. Is it like the pan?
Well, there's yeah, I guess it'd be like the oil pan. Part of it's a, you know, vertical shaft mower or engine, and yeah, so I guess, you know, whatever hit the bottom of the crankcase hit it hard enough to crack it. So
Whoa.
because it doesn't hold oil anymore, it just
Yeah.
like runs out.
Yeah. I did that once when I was on a Boy Scout trip. I was ferrying Boy Scouts from one part of the camping trip to the other, and we were on dirt roads, and I hit a rock on a dirt road, and it popped up and smacked the oil, you know, the crankcase, the
Oh, the oil pan, huh?
oil pan, and I ended up this little town for almost a week to get a replacement part because that was the only way they could fix it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that took a weekend trip and turned it into a week.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, guys, we've degenerated. We're talking about oil pans. All right. I'm going to call it. Let me turn off the recording.